Okay, yeah, sure. The Super Bowl happened. There was football to be played. But
Yeah,
James,
of course.
there were bigger things at play during Super Bowl Sunday.
Always.
So one of those things, of course, is... Food?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is one of those things. We did have burgers and hot dogs and brats.
Totally.
Shout out to our fabulous hosts for feeding us.
What?
2.
Booze, of course.
Booze is
Gotta
great.
have booze. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Well,
Kevin.
of course.
Let's get
cheers.
a cheers here.
Yep. Again, thank you to our wonderful hosts for giving us booze on Super Bowl Sunday.
I'm going to stop derailing you. Go ahead now.
3 trailers.
Of course, the movie trailers. Why not?
Yes, we have a bunch of Super Bowl spots.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Should we do that?
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Grab a seat, pour yourselves a whiskey neat. It's time to judge the shit out of these future releases by the movie trailers. We're trailer hits. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're trailer hits.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about the Super Bowl 2020 movie TV spots. Now, I am very aware that the Super Bowl was like a billion years ago in the terms of internet time and how fast the internet goes. By the time you're listening to this, yes, these things came out a while ago, but it's our podcast, so...
Sure. 3 memes have been born and died in the time it has been since the Super Bowl to the release of this episode.
They die so quickly, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah.
They sure do.
But you know what? There's a lot of TV spots to talk about, a lot of movies that we've already talked about, some that we've never talked about.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a power ranking of all 10 movie TV spots. We're excluding TV shows.
Yes.
It's going to be great. We do it every year for the Super Bowl. However, there was another awesome trailer that was dropped after the Super Bowl.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and give us a little shindig about what that is?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give a different shindig first. Hi, this is Trailer Hitch. Welcome. I'm Kevin.
You know, I don't take the reins often. I get real excited when I come up with...
You were doing great. That's why I didn't cut you
I
off.
really appreciate it.
As you were leading into it, I was like, shit, we're going to have to double back a little bit.
Well, hi, this is Kevin, the one who ruined this intro. And
Yeah. Hi, Kevin.
That's James over there, who had no part of it at all. No, I'm James, obviously. Welcome to Trailer Hitch, everyone.
This is Trailer Hitch, where we rate and review movie trailers. I would let James take over to tell you what the rankings are, but he'd probably start to go into our end of episode speech.
And my favorite TV spot of the year was...
Our rankings are need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both give a trailer need to see rating, we go see the movie, report back to you guys into something called Trailer in the Review, where we talk about the trailer in retrospect and review the film writ large.
Yes.
But we're not going to be reviewing anything because we're going to be ranking stuff, as James helpfully told you.
Power ranking, Kevin.
Power
ranking.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Get your barbells ready, everybody. This is the protein shake of podcasts.
Oh, see, that's where I draw the line.
Why?
It's really offensive.
Why?
I don't like that because...
Do you not like protein shakes?
No, it's upsetting.
Really?
It's gritty and... I just don't like the texture.
I think you just need to get the right flavoring. You can't go with
the flavor is fine. It's just
like
the gritty texture. It's like sand.
But if you go with like cookies and cream, then it's like, oh, it's like I got cookie crumbs.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Trick your brain.
Pick a thing that leans into that texture.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Like
that's why I put avocado on things that are just boring. Boom! Roasted avocado. Welcome to Trailer Hitch.
I like avocado. Anyway,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, as James helpfully mentioned, we are going to be power ranking things. We are also going to be talking about Spiral. Now, Spiral is a teaser. By nature, we do not give teasers reviews, just because teasers, it's in the name, they're just trying to tease you.
That's right.
So we are going to see if Spiral teases us enough. Or sorry, we should be going by its
the full name, Kevin. I was like, should I interrupt him? He didn't interrupt me.
Oh boy,
we should play it.
But now I'm curious though if I can do this from memory. Do you know the full title?
It is not as long as we've been joking it is. It's not like a Birds of Prey Harley Quinn scenario. But yes, I know the correct title. It is Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Nice.
I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, cool.
Based on I Will Push You Into a Syringe Pit by Sapphire.
Got him. There it is. Ba-dum-tsh. Because there was a syringe pit in the Saw
We
movie.
are meandering as fuck tonight.
Just,
We should talk... Let's talk about Spiral,
Let's do it.
What do you got there?
Oh, it's just my wife, Emma. This is my son, Charlie.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, last.
Nothing happier than the wife of a new detective.
Emma's cool, man. She's different. You don't know my wife.
You give a woman 600 Tuesdays. It ain't worth 3 Saturday nights.
How much money you got? A lot. How many problems you got? A lot. How many people done doubted? A lot.
All available units, officer down.
Pray that you flop.
Detective Banks en route. Whoever did this has another motive. They're targeting cops.
All right, without verbose we're being, it feels like things are going into a downward spiral, so let's try and pick ourselves up with Spiral. This is the new movie in the Saw franchise.
That's right.
It's not numbered, because I think Saw made it to 9 before the quote-unquote end of series, or was it 10?
I don't know if it made it that far. I thought maybe 7 or 8.
Okay, fair enough.
It's
but
up there.
it's not numbered, so the impression we're getting is we're not necessarily continuing the through line or storyline of the original Saw saga.
Yeah.
But are instead taking a hard left turn. And what is this left turn? We start with cops. So we got Chris Rock driving with his partner, and his partner is like, I got a wife. And then Chris Rock is like, oh, good luck, buddy. She ain't gonna stick around with you. And he mentioned something about how you can stick around for 600 Tuesdays, but it's not worth 3 Saturdays. I'm anticipating this means something about how hard the work schedule is for cops.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because 600 feels specific, but I don't know specific to what.
Once you broke it down to me, I'm like, okay, that makes the most sense.
Right.
But when I first started watching this trailer, I was like, what's he getting at? At first I was like, is he talking about like married life versus single life, like Saturday nights out on the town, or like is he talking? I didn't know. I was so confused.
Is Chris Rock trying to convince his rookie partner to divorce his wife so that way he can go to a bar on a Saturday night? Maybe. All seems right in the world of cops until a call comes in. We have a downed officer, and I did think that this was a nice creative choice. As soon as the call comes in, the music stops when Chris Rock says, okay, we're on our way. So fun is done here because something is afoot.
Well, and also they waited to give those production company logo.
After
They waited
the fact,
until
yeah.
the music changed. Golden, because if you do twisted pictures at the head of that like jokey scene,
Yeah, everyone's just pointing and being like, Saw!
It's Saw. It's Saw. I'm pretty sure it's Saw. So, I mean, obviously you know it's Saw when you click on it and like that kind of stuff. It kind of ruins the surprise a little bit.
But in a theater, I feel like that would probably
oh my God, right?
play well.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
Smart move instead of putting those at the front of the trailer.
Absolutely. And so we get to the crime scene. Now, we don't get any of the gore that the Saw franchise is known for because, you know, it's a trailer. You're not going to get that unless it's Red Band. But instead, we just kind of get these derelict crime scenes, and there are these spirals drawn all over the place, and they're like, well, I guess the killer is a fan of circles and lines. We, of course, as people who have seen at least 3, I've seen at least 3 of the Saw movies.
3 or 4.
So
sure. Yeah.
we understand that, like, of course, Jigsaw's whole shebang was
his
puppets and spirals.
His puppet had
spirals on his cheek,
right?
Yeah.
It was his cheek, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Citation needed, but, you know, someone else will write in and yell at us if we're wrong. So
Jenny will. Bad movie correspondent Jenny. She's a big Saw fan. So.
She'll write in. She'll write in. So then the trailer kind of goes into more montage stuff. We get Samuel L. Jackson, who it seems independent of the police officers as they're investigating things, as the cops are getting suspicious packages mailed to them. And really the cop angle gives the entire proceedings a very Seven feel, if we're still in the realm of serial killer stuff. Because instead of following the victims. And granted, I know Saw, like, a couple of the primary characters were the cops. One of them played by Danny Glover,
there's always a detective, obviously, because it's a serial killer. Like,
you gotta have someone's
on the case. Yeah. But they're not always like. It's clear in this movie or in this trailer that the killer is targeting police officers. Yes. So that's a little bit of a different twist on it.
And that's a good point. Is now the franchise is kind of finding the apex of that instead of having. Your victims who we started with in the first movie and the second movie and the third movie and probably the other 7. I don't know because I haven't seen them. Jenny will let us know. Instead of having, these victims and then also there are these cops that are trying to crack the case who inevitably fail somehow, we're just going to meld them together where the victims and the cops are one and the same.
Yeah.
Now, that's not really explored that much within this teaser, but, it's a teaser.
It's a teaser, yeah.
We're just
dipping
our toes.
A lot of the runtime is just the jovial stuff between two partners in the car before the music changes.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good, 30 to 60 seconds of it, for sure. And then right at the very end of the trailer, we do get a very brief flash of some sort of Saw-like contraption. But then the trailer culminates with Chris Rock handcuffed to something, and he is given a saw. And you can kind of tell he's like,
I should have saw this coming.
Hey!
Thank you. But what I want to point out with that shot is I believe, now it's been a long time.
Sure.
And I wouldn't mind checking, but I believe the trailer for the very first Saw movie ends with Carrie Ewell's in the very similar shot holding up the hacksaw like, oh, I know what this is supposed to be for. I think both trailers end with that, and I'm like, I think that's kind of a cool homage.
Mm-hmm. My first impression just from the teaser, because if you were to just tell me straight up, there's going to be another Saw movie, I'd have been like, what is it, 2012 again? But seriously, it's one of those things where it's like, we have a lot of them. What distinguishes this? Having seen this trailer, now I'm like, oh, okay, now we're finding it's cops as victims, which is kind of like streamlining, I guess, the Saw process, which is, kind of interesting. Chris Rock seems like a pretty likable and interesting character in this.
And this is a bit behind baseball, but have you heard what he said about Saw and what drew him to this franchise?
I have not.
So he is a fan of the Saw franchise on its own already, but he said something along the lines of, so many films, like horror films and stuff like Saw movies, could be elevated so much more by 2 jokes. And he said that, and he's like, this is still going to be a Saw movie. It's definitely Saw. There's gore, there's blood, there's contraptions. It's a Saw movie. But I just think things can be so much better with, strategically placed jokes here and there.
Interesting.
And I'm just like, awesome. This guy cares about this clearly.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm very excited about seeing what is to come. Yeah.
Yes. Now, granted, as you and I have talked about, the beginning 600 Tuesdays joke, does it land? Not really, because we had to watch this a few times in order to figure out what was happening.
Maybe in the movie it plays better.
Context is always key.
Yeah.
But I think it would be great once we get an official trailer. I do kind of hope to see one of those jokes and see that fleshed out a little bit more. But as of right now, this teaser has whet my appetite, and it has made me interested in seeing more of a Saw movie, or at least trailers. And that's something that I didn't think I would say after seeing Saw 3.
Yeah, consider me teased.
All right, you want to put these helmets on, get on these pads?
I mean, I'm feeling powerful. Let's do a power ranking.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to go about this like we're the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to struggle for the first half, and then right at the end when you're like, there's no way, we're going to pull through and suddenly have a great episode. Yeah. We got our 10 trailers. We are going to start things off with not a bang, but a whimper. This will be A Quiet Place 2.
Ronnie, what do we got? Some kind of fire? We got units headed out there now.
All right, so first up, we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place 2.
Sure thing.
I'll go first.
Okay.
For these TV spots, I wanted to try something new this year.
Sure.
And I kind of broke them down by 4 criteria. And I kind of just made a comment about each of these 4 criteria for all of them.
I'd be super excited to hear
Okay,
that.
so my first criteria is there a good hook? The immediate hook. Is it good?
Yeah.
Second criteria, is there a good button or ending? Third is general tempo. So, does the short runtime feel balanced, or does it feel, super rushed? And it's, chaotic, and it's we had to fit everything into 40 seconds because this is a Super Bowl TV spot, and we're spending $2 million on this 40-second spot, or something like that. Sometimes they feel that way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they feel really balanced.
We'll hear examples of both
Yeah,
today.
we definitely will. And then the final one is just the quality of the imagery and the music in general.
Okay.
So, because a lot of these end up being montages, they kind of... I usually am talking about, the imagery in the montage or how it flows with the music in the montage and stuff. So, those are my criteria, Kevin.
No, that's awesome. So for me, I watched them and I either went, or, oh, or, But yeah, no, with A Quiet Place 2, we got a quick 30-second spot.
Yeah, we did, yep.
In this franchise, a soon-to-be-dead John Krasinski makes an appearance in a flashback.
Yeah, we open up like we did with the full trailer, which is opening up in the flashback.
Look at our nice, quiet main drag of this small town. All is well. Oh, it looks like there's a fire afoot. Don't worry about it, guys. Everything will be safe. No, just kidding. There's a monster.
Yeah.
And then we get into the
present day.
The surviving members of his family eventually find some shut-in rednecks who are like, I don't like going out there. And they're like, you should, because there are people out there worth saving.
Yes.
And that's effectively what we're getting with this trailer. We can talk about the button. I know you have that in your criteria. It does kind of play off of the joke that friend of the podcast, Micah Pollard, made when he reviewed A Quiet Place 2 when he was guesting on our show, about how so far the marketing really likes the idea of the monsters being bus drivers in some way, shape, or form.
Or train drivers.
Or train drivers.
Yeah, just
they're
public transportation.
Operating modes of public transit.
God help it if Spider-Man shows up. He's just going to tear it down. Because you and I both know he hates public transportation.
No, that Spider-Man villains hate public transportation.
Oh, you're right.
So it is. The Quiet Place monster's worst enemy is the Green Goblin. Will he make an appearance? We'll see. But what I will say is I do like with this little spot and with all of the marketing so far with The Quiet Place 2, how it juxtaposes the apocalypse right at the beginning. So that way when we have our shut-in rednecks who's like, what, leaving the bunker? I don't know about that. It does give credence to why they feel that way.
Exactly.
And it makes them a little bit more empathetic.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have the information that Emily Blunt and her kids have.
Yeah, everyone's survival story is going to be different in this world, and you could probably guess that a lot of them are going to be very negative and not like Emily Blunt's, where they were able to rely on each other and think about saving people.
Definitely. So what I found interesting about this spot and the marketing in general is A Quiet Place 2's really been abandoning the family angle, and that was the thematic hook with the first Quiet Place movie.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, that's totally fine if they want to take it into another direction, because otherwise it's going to just turn into Fast and Furious, right? Where it's basically like an Olive Garden slogan, but with cars. And the fact that they're going away from that, which is, I'm kind of looking at this as shutting yourself away from the horrors of the world reveals new horrors of its own. And I think that's an interesting theme. I don't think that can be explored deeply enough in a 30-second spot.
I think
obviously.
That's the crux
so it's a matter of the spectacle of it and what I think of the spectacle of it. And to go off of my template,
Oh, got it. I was waiting for more.
Yeah. I mean, I think the opening hook is kind of cool, but I like the bus angle more in the extended trailers.
Yeah.
And especially because with the bus angle, we get the actual character who we'll be following. And I think seeing John Krasinski in the movie would have been a nice and welcome touch. Whereas I think
a nice surprise.
Yeah, whereas giving it away in the marketing kind of feels like you're showing me a cameo that I think might have been better if I went in not knowing that.
I think that's fair.
I don't think the monster being a train conductor was really all that scary because, just don't make noise in the back, young woman, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But how about you? Give me that 4 criteria. Let me know what you're thinking.
All right. Well, the hook, like you said, it's good. It's really solid. And I think for a 40-second spot, that is probably the best you could do with a hook. Like, obviously, the Emily Blunt bus driving one was much better, but that one kind of took a while to let it play out. This one is, hey, how's your day going? Boom, run. It was quick, and it got things moving. It got your heart rate moving a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the tempo, I think it builds pretty well. It does a really good job of giving a truncated version of what the story is going to be, like you said, like scary people out there, but hey, they're worth saving. But it also provides thrills of what's sure to be a solid suspense film. I mean, the first one was too. So I thought it built pretty well to the end.
I'd agree with that.
The imagery and the music here was hit or miss for me, if I'm going to be honest. There's some really cool shots, mixed with some relatively uninteresting shots at the same time. Like, I think they were all crawling into like a vault at one point and like shutting the vault door. That was really interesting. And I want to know more about this vault. I want to know more about like where you're going with this. But there was a lot of times where it was just a shot of someone just standing and looking, that kind of stuff. But I guess it helped build the trailer up to, more interesting things. And then finally, the end, like you said, not as good as the hook. I mean, it's just the creature on a train and one girl going like, "Oh no, that creature on this train now," and that's the end. So it really fizzled at the end, I think.
The monster's pretty far away.
Really, like 2 cars away, I think. Overall, pretty solid, but it kind of fizzled at the end there for me.
Yeah, decent. You had mentioned food at the beginning of this podcast and Super Bowl shows, and I am thankful for our host for feeding us, but I was really missing Mushu pork. Like, I really would have liked a good pork base, and I feel like Mushu pork would have been great. But speaking of missing Mushu, there is another trailer we need to be talking about. Yes. That is Mulan, which is missing Mushu, but is that okay? We'll find out.
We'll discuss.
I will bring honor to us all.
Right, so this spot is all about Mulan bringing honor to her family, and she's mostly doing that through a lot of badass action stuff, so it seems like she's doing that. James, where are you feeling with this one?
Yeah, I also feel like she's doing that.
She's doing that.
She's doing that Mulan. Mm-hmm. I think the hook of this is really great. It's intercutting between extreme close-ups and like epic wide shots.
Panoramic,
so that it will be like an extreme close-up of hand touching dirt, and then like this really gorgeous angle of someone jumping from rooftop to rooftop.
Yes.
Then extreme close-up of hand grabbing sword. Then like an entire army charging down a hill.
I really love the shot where Mulan was running across. It just looked
stairs,
like,
maybe. I think, but the angle made it look like she's just running on flat ground with stripes on it. But I think they're stairs. So it's an excellent hook. Going off of that, because this starts immediately in the hook, I loved how they started with her breathing. Mm-hmm. And like the breathing was setting the pace for the teaser, and then other sound effects from the images start adding to that. And it's breathing and then sword sound effect. Then it's breathing and sword sound effect and horse. Then it's breathing, sword sound effect, horse, and footsteps, and they just kept adding to it. And it just really helped the tempo, and it helped build the trailer to the very end. So at the end of the day, it did an excellent job of making its 40 seconds feel like super balanced. It didn't feel rushed or crammed at all, as some of these trailers might. And then finally, the end, wasn't a big fan of the title Mulan coming up and then her just whispering, Mulan.
My own name.
I didn't like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
It was like excellent. could have done without that.
Yeah. I mean, like the trailer is definitely trying to sell you on the epicness of it, and I think for the most part it hits.
Oh, it works,
because
man.
I like how it's using the voiceover of Mulan to kind of anchor all of the action that's happening, to kind of give it a bit more weight. I think there's another trailer that we'll be talking about soon that does that really effectively as well. It does. It's just Mulan saying, "I'm gonna do this." And then you see her fucking do it, and you're like, all right, co-sign, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for a movie that's like light on Mushu, they certainly go...
They still gave us the meat. So speaking of going for the fantastical, we are going into an equally crazy and magical world where, say, cars don't adhere to the laws of physics. This is Fast and Furious 9.
If we do this, we risk everything.
Let's talk about Fast and Furious 9. It's completely built on montage. We are using a song from Born Again Christian era Kanye West to anchor the trailer with the hallelujahs.
Oh, it's Kanye West?
That's Kanye West, yes.
How do you know this? All it is someone saying
For some
hallelujah.
goddamn reason, I listened to the Jesus is King album from Kanye West. Okay. And basically, like, my biggest note on this is I felt like this needed more audacity because I believe it's 7 is the one where they're in Dubai and they're driving a car out of a building and into another building.
The building one
times.
was, I believe, 7.
Basically, with Fast and Furious, it's like, okay, now you have set the bar. For a sequel, it's like, are we going to keep going up? Like, are we going to make this more and more ridiculous and more just absurd? As of right now, with this 30-second spot, it kind of feels like a plateau more than anything. And if I want this sort of movie, I have... If we're going just by the absurd Fast and Furious movies, 3 to choose from?
I mean,
4.
They're all absurd in their own right.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, the first one isn't very PC, so I guess that's kind of absurd.
Otherwise the biggest thing that I didn't realize was going to happen with 9 is, oh, John Cena's in it. So, okay, cool. All right, what do you think?
So I think I like this one a little bit more than you. The hook is bad. It's just bad. There's no hook here. The hook is the quote-unquote family, because, you know, these movies are all about family.
Again, it's like an Olive Garden slogan, but with cars.
They're all just, like, hugging and being together and, like, we risk everything type of crap. And it's bad. It's a bad hook unless you are all for this franchise. Like, like, live and breathe this franchise like I do with Star Wars. In which case, seeing these moments resonates with you.
Yeah.
Doesn't for me at all.
And we assume there's someone who's like on the sidelines like, yeah, family.
Of course. Yeah, totally. I think the tempo is strong, though. They use the Hallelujah, which I now know is Kanye West type song, and it helps the rhythm of the spot, and it builds pretty well, and it gets crazier and crazier as it goes. It doesn't get as crazy as we would have hoped from a Fast Furious movie, but it does build in terms of the audacity within the trailer. It gets crazier and crazier until that last thing, which I'm about to talk about in a second. The imagery and music go hand in hand with this one. Like I said, the Hallelujah, which I described in here as the goofy Hallelujah song. So, sorry, Kanye West. It's goofy, but it still kind of worked for me in terms of building everything. But then the end, man, that super CGI
car going off the cliff. I think there's a part of me, the reason why that didn't hit that hard is it kind of reminded me of Hobbs and Shaw, where The Rock's character is holding on to the helicopter with the chain to the car.
Going off the cliff. Yeah,
it's basically that, but now we're just removing The Rock from the middle of that equation. So I'm like, I've already kind of seen this before with this franchise, but it's just like slightly different.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's big and bold. I won't take that away from it, but it also didn't like wow me like the past Fast and Furious trailers.
Yeah, and this trailer, the VO in this definitely talks about the stakes of everything. Like this is like the biggest risk we've ever taken, but we don't really understand what that risk is.
I mean, you have to say that. Yeah. You have to say that in a
especially when you hit 9.
If it's like, well, this is almost the biggest risk we've ever taken, except for 8. People are just going to go, well, I guess I'll just go rewatch 8.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the Fast and Furious franchise, at its core now, it's basically just trying to hit your inner child with just how goofy it is.
For sure.
But now let's talk about our literal inner child with Minions, The Rise of Gru.
This summer, get ready for action. Bad guys, snacks, more bad guys, tiny whiteys, explosions.
All right, welcome to the most hyperactive spot on this list.
It's like Adderall.
It really is.
It's like taking a thing of Adderall.
So when it comes to Minions: The Rise of Gru, I know there are people who are freaking out about J-Lo and Shakira's halftime show just because they're like, I was watching that with my kid. My heart more so goes out to the parents who watched this spot with their kids, because it's like, shit, now I have to go see that movie. I feel for all of you.
Fair.
So this trailer it is purely made for kids.
Yeah.
Like, at its core. Like, it is all slapstick. It goes a mile a minute. There's underwear involved.
Fart jokes,
the whole 9 yards. Up to including making the main character a kid. It is. It's all montage, and nothing really within this set really landed.
It's
for
almost impossible to remember specifics from it because it's just a blur to me.
Yeah. I know you have a much more scientific method.
I do, but did you give your word?
Ugh.
Okay, so the hook for this one, it's pretty average VO guy being like, this summer, get ready for blah, blah, blah thing of the image that we're showing you right now, you know?
Yeah,
it's just
totally.
like, and guy with tighty whities on, and fart jokes, and minions with braces, and it's just like him describing literally
everything
what
that's
we're
happening
seeing
right now. Yeah.
So that was interesting, and by that I mean bad hook, because that's all the hook was. Okay, the tempo is chaotic and it's montagey, obviously, because most of these are, but it's almost nonsensical. I think it works in favor with the music, which it was Sabotage by Beastie Boys, which I'm a big fan of that song, so hey, you get some brownie points from me there. So yeah, I don't know. It's loud, it's flashy, it's, oh my god, I guess I'm a cranky old neighbor now. I'm just like being like, it's too loud, it's too dang loud. I guess I'm in Minions 3, I'm gonna be the villain.
Sure.
I'll be the next villain. Just like the cranky old neighbor being like, you dang minions are too loud. Finally, the end, after the VO guy says, get ready for minions, a literal minion says, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and I
being dismissive.
Yeah, and I thought my thoughts exactly, Mr. Minion. And so on a meta level, I liked the ending.
Sure.
But I don't like I don't like this at all. Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah, we don't have any time for this movie.
Oh, no.
Just like James Bond has no time to die.
You ever flown one of these things before?
Nope.
No time to die, Dr. Bond. All right, so
Doctor.
Get it? Yeah. Pulling out an Indiana Jones reference for some reason. We don't need to meander more. So,
I mean, we could, but we won't.
I'm looking at my notes, and boy, man, I was very dismissive at the time because I said the adult version of the Minions trailer, I guess, because it was a montage and a lot of it didn't really stick for me.
Okay.
I will say that I think if we're going to get into the hook, the major thing that I get from this trailer that isn't just like a montage compilement is a character who is not James Bond flying a plane. And why are you doing that? It's James Bond. Like, I found, much like the first trailer, which we reviewed on the show, to be kind of incoherent and to kind of not really build an arc within the trailer itself. It's basically like James Bond, and we're going to give you all these other characters. Christoph Waltz is in this movie. And it's like, y'all are really overestimating how beloved Spectre is. I'm just not that hooked by any of these spots right now. And it's one of those things where, again, with the talent involved, I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge's writing list sounds awesome. But
although
I haven't seen
I've heard
anything in these spots that have made me hit the level of excitement as the pedigree involved.
I've heard that Phoebe Waller-Bridge's involvement level was a little less than what she would have preferred.
Oh.
And I don't know that 100%, but I thought I remembered reading that
Someone
somewhere.
tell Film Twitter, because they're flipping shit over the fact that she's a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, she was a part of it. She's not, like, she didn't deny that, but she's just kind of like, that's really not my version.
Yeah.
So, which happens. I mean, that kind of stuff happens in these kinds of movies all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
especially
okay.
franchises.
Back to my criteria breakdown. I actually liked the hook. I didn't mind that it wasn't James Bond per se doing something badass. I think that would have been better. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what we got in this trailer, I thought the plane was really cool, and they both looked cool in the moment in their seats, and I liked the line, "You know how to fly this thing, right?" And it was this cool banter between them.
Sure.
I thought it was a good hook. But other than that, man, I don't know. It doesn't feel rushed. I'll give it that. If I'm stretching for other compliments. I know it's a montage thing, but I think it kind of knows that, and it leans into that. But even the words of what's being said in it, in the bulk of the thing, are pretty uninteresting. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't even tell you. It was like, the girl has a secret, and it's going to undo so many things. And I'm like, what?
It doesn't add
I don't
to
care.
It doesn't add to the action that's
No, it's not
happening on screen.
not giving me anything interesting here. But the imagery I thought was pretty top-notch stuff. We had some like SWAT guys walking down a wall on ropes and stuff against like setting sun, and there was some really cool imagery in it, is what I'm saying. Like Bond under ice, and then the end is just super flat, man. It's just Bond standing looking dumbstruck, and then cut to title. But we already got a shot of Bond looking dumbstruck, like at the 15-second mark, when he's holding like a telephone. Like he's getting a call from a telemarketer or something, and he's like, huh? What? And so the ending dumbstruck look
I'm having issues with my Windows PC, but I have a Mac. Yeah, no, you make a good point too. Like, so far, all of the spots that we've reviewed for No Time to Die have undercut themselves in some ways, because that very first trailer is like, what's that? Leah Sedo's character is alive? Even though in the very first, like, few frames
shot
of that...
Yeah,
we see Leah Sedo's
they're riding
character.
in a car together.
Yeah.
And bantering.
Exactly, yeah. So
I agree with you.
We're going to... Boy, I don't have a good segue for this.
What's the next one? Maybe I can come up with one.
Black Widow.
Black Widow. Okay. James Bond, secret agent. She's
also secret
agent, sort of. There you go. Black Widow.
Das Vidania, comrade. Let's go.
At some point, we all have to choose between what the world wants you to be and who you are.
Russian spies. All right, let's get into this. So, for me, this montage landed really, really well. I really like this because the voiceover anchors everything so effectively.
Okay.
And it gives credence to what is happening on screen, but also adding a little bit something to it, too. So, for this, I really like these little bits where... Like, toward the end of the spot, Black Widow is saying, they expect you to be one thing, and we have the academy, where you see all of the Russian spies, like, all turning in unison and brandishing
I think they're
their
all
gun.
called Black Widows.
Yeah,
I think, anyway.
So, like, you see all the Black Widows brandishing their gun.
Yeah.
And they want to see you for what they want you to be instead of who you are. And then we see Black Widow with her sister being a hero and doing what she feels is right and kind of rejecting the do as you're told mentality that the Black Widow Academy was trying to impose on her. That sort of stuff really works for me because so many spots that we've talked about and are going to talk about are effectively doing what Black Widow is doing, which is like, we're going to give you some VO, give you a montage and throw some voiceover on it to kind of provide some context for what you're in for. Here's a title card. We'll see you when it comes out.
Right.
And of this lot so far, Black Widow definitely, I think, is the model to work.
Well, great. I'm glad you liked it so much. I was not as warm on it as you. I think I was a little bit harsher on it. So okay, going down the line, the hook, I think it's a solid okay. The hook is essentially a shot of Scarlett Johansson looking dramatic with the voiceover of "You don't know everything about me." And then it cuts to like another shot of her just like jumping out of a plane. Essentially, those like 3 moments play as the hook.
Sure.
And that kind of just didn't do much for me.
Because your mindset is, I would assume she would jump out of planes.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Well,
that's
I
fair.
mean, we've seen it already in the other trailer. I know I shouldn't be basing it off of what we've seen before, but we knew like that was going to happen. And also it's like when in terms of like superhero movies, someone jumping out of a plane is not that crazy. It doesn't really blow me away that often. But the line is good. Like you don't know everything about me, like you said, in terms of getting the story across in 30 seconds. That's a great line to start on. So the line is good, but otherwise it's just kind of like, it's solid okay for me. I think the tempo and like what you said, getting its point across is the strongest part of the spot. Easily. It never feels rushed. It feels super balanced, and it lets the lines land, and it doesn't rush through them. It's not stepping on its own toes. It like says a line, has a beat, lets you think about it, goes on to the next line with some interesting badass slow-mo imagery, and that slow-mo imagery matches like the slower tempo really well. So I think that's really good, like 2 thumbs up for that. For the most part though, the quality of the imagery I thought was also like just okay. They stick to a lot of like different kind of just jumping or landing type stuff.
There is a very strange, like, ashy filter over everything.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's always debris. They're always walking out of an explosion, I guess, in every scene of this movie.
Or it's, like, long after the explosion and no one just, like, wiped the lens.
The dust hasn't settled yet. But, yeah, it's just, the imagery is a lot of just jumping, superhero landing, another jumping, another dramatic look off frame. And that's essentially the whole imagery of the whole trailer. And I think what worked for you specifically, and what I think is the best part, is the voiceover and is how the flow of it. But in terms of like wowing me, it didn't do anything for me in that sense. And when it comes to Super Bowl TV spots, I'm kind of looking to be like wowed a bit. So there you go. We respectfully disagree on this one.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. The respect is there. Well, I hope this next one takes your breath away, man. This is Top Gun 2 Maverick.
My dad believed in you. I'm not going to make the same mistake.
All right, so the Top Gun franchise saw Mission Impossible Fallout and was like, well, fuck, we should just do that. So this TV spot is very much built on high-octane action and what are the craziest and wildest situations that we can put our character in. He's got to outmaneuver some people. We don't know who those people are. Why would you care? He's in a plane.
And it's Tom Cruise. You know he's actually up there, people.
Exactly, yes. He is risking life and limb, and you should respect that. In addition, you don't think this is serious? We're going to have him breathing over this entire spot. Because, the breathing trope definitely makes it rears here. And that's it for me with Top Gun. Quality of images, I think, is interesting. I do think it gets kind of repetitive as this goes on because there is a lot of Tom Cruise going, whoa, as he goes upside down in an aircraft.
Yeah. This has one speed, and that's
the need for it?
The need for speed. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, it's all about just the planes and the flights, and they get a little bit of images of dramatic stuff here and there, but it's very blink and you miss it type imagery, and also lines too. For the most part, you don't get other elements other than just the adrenaline rush of what this is going to be. So
Definitely.
Onto my criteria here, the hook, any hook that has Tom Cruise doing everything in his power of Scientology, to kill himself, is a spectacular hook. Sure. Aces on the hook. Okay. So the tempo, it takes a page from Mulan. And it's like, oh, we're going to use this breathing to set the tempo of the trailer.
Oh, fuck, I just got that breathing, take my breath away.
Yeah, it worked. I thought you knew that. And honestly, the tempo for it works perfectly. It's him like breathing into that like respirator thing when he's running on the treadmill. Sure. I think they're using that sound effect like throughout, and probably with the mask on in the cockpit too. I think that works spectacularly, but it's mixed with understated music. And that cuts really well on the beats. It's really solid. But like the attempt to get across any sort of story in 40 seconds is completely muddled. It's just nothing. It's just speed. They try though. There's like a line of Goose's son being like, my dad's biggest mistake was trusting you or something like that. And I'm not going to trust you or some crap like that. And then it's like, you know, someone crying at a funeral and I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. But at the end of the day, you get the gist of what this is going to be, which is going to be Maverick Gumby Maverick. And he going to ruffle some feathers. Like that's what this movie is going to be. The imagery is good. At first, I thought the plain stuff was a little too samey. I was on your same page. But after a rewatch, I thought it was a little bit better. It wasn't too samey. Like, there was some part of, like, threading the needle between mountains. There was one part where he was, like, avoiding explosions. There was another part where he was, like, in space, ? In outer space. It was kind of confusing. At the end of the day, this one really landed for me.
So it's still up in the air whether we'll see that. One thing I know for sure we won't see is the Invisible Man, because he's invisible. Let's talk about it.
Wherever you go.
Hello?
I'm standing right behind you. I know you better than anyone else in the world.
He has figured out a way to be invisible.
All right, so this is the second trailer to feature John Cena this year, because you can't see him.
The hand in front of the face?
Yeah, you can't see me.
But he's not in this movie.
So anyway, this TV spot for the Invisible Man. So this is just the main trailer cut down to 30 seconds. Like, literally beat for beat, the main trailer that we talked about on the show. It reuses a lot of the same footage, up to and including the fight in the hallway where, like, the guy gets the gun put up to his knee. The beginning still has Elizabeth Moss in an abusive relationship trying to escape. To be fair, we don't get the guy commit suicide, and in order to get the will, you have to prove you're sane.
They skipped that whole angle.
We don't necessarily get that context.
You don't need it for a 40-second spot.
You really don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it still culminates with Elizabeth Moss feeling like she is going insane and everyone around her kind of questioning her sanity, leading up to a climactic showdown between her and her invisible boo. Really, the only thing that's different here is at one point the Invisible Man gets paint thrown on him, which isn't really enough to be notable.
Now, I'll say the other thing that was different was in the kitchen, we got her being essentially assaulted by him.
Yeah.
And that's different because in the full trailer, in that kitchen, we just got him turning on the stove and then pulling a knife.
Right.
And then they cut away. And then she goes, "Did I leave the stove on?" And then that's the horror of it. That, oh no, I left the stove on.
Right.
We've all been there, guys.
It's
relatable. I do think there was a little bit more than just the paint shot, but I think it's just those two shots, really. Yeah. But you're right. This is a rehash, but much shorter. Did you give it your sound effect yet?
Oh, my sound effect for this would be
cool.
And it's mostly because I do think that there is some interesting stuff going on in the main trailer. I think condensed down, they were able to get a lot across in 30 seconds, and I give them props for that. But if you have seen the main trailer, it's like, okay, this isn't really giving me anything outside of what I already know.
Right.
Whereas
right.
I feel like Black Widow was able to repackage it in a way where I was like, oh, this is really effective for me.
I'm 100% there for this movie. I'm like over the moon excited about it. But this TV spot did not do much for me at all. The hook is just nothing. It's them at a dinner table, and then it cuts to him like saying some like really creepy, forceful thing while touching her knee. Not a good hook for a Super Bowl Sunday TV spot, you know? For a spot that takes a moment to literally breathe, this spot still feels like it has no breathing space, though.
Yeah,
it's
just
it's
because it has to cram
boom,
everything.
boom, 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 and it feels that way. Like we talked about that. How effective are you at making your 40-second spot not feel like 40 seconds? And this made it feel like, we have 40 seconds, we gotta get everything in, blah, 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 here you go. Finally, I don't love the ending of the paint dump. It was new, it was different, but I still didn't like that as the ending button. What I think would have been a stronger ending would have been ending on the dread of her in the kitchen being like attacked in midair and like pushed against a wall, and then cut to black, cut to title.
Yeah, if you want to do an in medias res cut, I think that is 100% a great idea.
Right?
Otherwise, like even if you want to do like we just want to condense the trailer that we already did down to 30 seconds, then give me a shot, because I know the trailer ends with them fighting in the rain. Give me the shot where she sees his figure in the rain, where like I just see through the downpour, holy fuck, there's a guy right there. Cut the card.
Exactly.
Like,
and
there are a couple of different ways to do it. So. Ending with what seems like a Home Depot crossover was kind of like, well...
Make sure to get your primer.
All right, so we can definitely agree that this last trailer was really cramped. So let's stretch our legs and then run really fast for Sonic the Hedgehog.
He's just a blur out there. What's this for again?
What's this for again?
What's this for again?
What's this for again?
Great question. I have no idea. But please, McCaffrey, go on about how amazing I am.
Sonic the Hedgehog, you cheeky devil, you've gone from the most maligned thing on the internet to pulling yourself around really effectively, because this was the only fake-out trailer of the entire lot. Mm-hmm. This started as a bunch of star athletes up to and including Michael Thomas.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. And then people who are participate in sports that we don't watch.
Not taking anything away from your abilities.
No. Like that sprinter, that race car driver, good for you.
Yeah.
So it's all these athletes saying, like this person's like the best. Like, I'm great, but oh boy, this guy. And then it turns out we were talking about Sonic. And then we go into our trailer. I think the construction of the trailer itself is honestly pretty effective, because it is going for like the big epicness that every trailer that we've talked about this year has been doing, but then it promptly undercuts it with Sonic bouncing the toy in the car.
I really disliked that moment in this spot.
We'll get there. It's like then big epic moment, and then something to kind of undercut it, to just kind of be like, oh, okay, like this is going to still be light and goofy. And so I really like how this is constructed, where it is kind of taking the piss out of the structure of how a Super Bowl spot can be laid out. I give it a ton of points for that. That said, does the comedy land for me? No. But I do think that this is a good idea. I think like the content that they have to work off of, like what they have that can fit in like a 30-second spot, isn't strong enough on its own to really knock the joke out of the park.
Yeah.
But I like the general idea here. And I think if the movie was more for me, I'd probably be like, this rules!
Exactly.
But I know, because you like to talk about buttons, it doesn't really work at all. But I will let you commence after I give my rating. Yeah. All right, James, hit us with it.
Okay, so the hook, I literally have written, I summed up what you just said. I see what you're trying to do here, and it gets an A for effort. Mm-hmm. It really, really does.
Absolutely.
But I don't think this landed at all. Like, I don't think any of the athletes are really believable by the end of it when it comes to being the jokey part.
Well, it's because one of them tilts their hand before you get the punchline. Like, one of them is like, he's super fast. Like, he's the fastest thing I've ever seen.
He's a blur.
He's a blur, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where at that point it's like, you fucking giving up the ghost.
I liked the cheeky one of he likes collecting rings.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
It's a football player,
Super Bowl ring.
Rings,
that one worked. But even Sonic's sitting in the chair, whatever he said was immensely forgettable and it was not funny. So the idea of it is really great, but it just did not land at all.
No.
The tempo, once we actually get to the Sonic stuff, the tempo of that football stuff is pretty good. Like you said, it's a good fake out. It's just when it comes to the humor aspect of it, it completely falls flat. But then when it gets to the montage-y stuff, it's solid. Like, the montage-y stuff is solid. Like you said, it hits on the epicness of it until it, like, undermines itself with all these, like, moments of, like, I'm doing the rubber ball on the paddle thing.
Sure.
Yeah, which I just, like, I'm like, you already got your attempt at a joke out of the way.
Sure.
Now let's focus on the speed. Speed? Anyway, the end.
A for effort, James.
Thank you. The ending button, 100% disagree with you.
Really?
Holy crap. Oh my god, I love this button. Jim Carrey punches this guy in the throat. And it was so funny. I laughed so hard. It got me, man.
Wow.
It got me. And he just, like, walks away like, you left yourself open, man. Like, we've had this talk 1,000 times. And I was so tickled by it. And I'm just, like, so pumped to see this movie now for the Jim Carrey reasons.
I was about to say...
With the latte thing in the first trailer, and now him just punching this guy in the throat because he just left it open.
This isn't judgmental. Like, genuinely, how much do you miss 90s era Jim Carrey?
I miss him so much. So
yeah.
I literally saw this, and I see him doing this, and I'm like, he looks like he's having so much fun with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go ahead and do your... I'm damaged type stuff on the side.
Sure.
And it's great, and we can all be like, wow, you're a really good actor. But I want to see you having fun. And this looks like you're having fun. And I don't know, I got really excited about it. I miss that era of Jim Carrey. I really do. So I'm excited to see this for Dr. Robotnik. They should call it Dr. Robotnik. I just want to see it because of Dr. Robotnik.
But that probably is a sign that something isn't quite working when the thing you're excited to see for Sonic the Hedgehog is not Sonic the Hedgehog.
Correct.
Yeah.
Trust me, when it comes to this power ranking, I have taken that into account, Kevin. I just wanted to express how much I love Jim Carrey in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And bear in mind, when I'm like, oh man, that button really didn't work for me, it's because, like, the build to
it doesn't fit in this thing at all.
No.
At all.
No.
But
I think in context that joke might really work for me, but your perspective is definitely welcome here, man. I'm glad that I get to absorb your opinion. Almost like a starfish. I'm kidding, it's a sponge. SpongeBob the movie, Sponge on the Run, here we go.
The commercials in this game are really expensive, SpongeBob.
It's just the pregame.
You got 26 seconds to tell me everything in this movie.
Sir, yes, sir.
This is another trailer that is made for kids in mind. Like, that is what is driving this. And God, this lands so much more for me than the Minions trailer.
It was made for kids, but it was also made for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which, power to you.
Yeah. Start with your hook with Mr. Krabs basically being like, okay, we spent a ton of money on this. We have to do this in 30 seconds. Let's go.
I think it's a hook that keeps paying off throughout the spot.
Yeah.
It's like really, really clever and spectacular.
Yeah, because it's SpongeBob basically being like, okay, here are all the things you can expect in this movie. And some of the jokes, because I've seen the full trailer, and the Keanu Reeves Sage thing in the main trailer goes on, I think, a little bit too long for the trailer in order for it to really work for me.
I totally agree with you, but
here it fucking kills.
It's golden.
Yeah, it's so good when you truncate it.
You know what part of it is? It's SpongeBob as the voiceover saying over Keanu Reeves, the wise old sage.
And, like, because the pace in this is incredibly effective,
yeah.
Then you just get Keanu Reeves' hello. And then we move on. We don't need to linger on this anymore. And then it keeps building and building and building, and then it finally hits a point where he's like, the only thing that's missing is Gary, which is the conflict of the movie, is his pet runs away, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. I know what this is. I'm smelling a road trip. And then Patrick's like, oh, sorry, I think that might be my breath. And then we get Mr. Crab at the end being like, yeah, okay, that was worth the money. And that's the end of the trailer. I think the construction of this is great, and it's to the point where I watched the spot and I went, fuck me, am I interested in seeing a SpongeBob movie in theaters now?
If I had to guess on which one of these we would have been in agreement on, it would not have been SpongeBob
Right?
movie. Okay, the hook, everything you said already. Boom, we've already covered it. The hook is brilliant. The tempo, similarly to Minions 2, it has that voiceover literally describing what you're seeing throughout the whole thing. But the reason this one works for me is because it's silly and it leans into that. This is why it's worthy of a Super Bowl TV spot.
Yes.
Like shtick that it's set up. And sorry, Squidward pre-game TV spot, which was hilarious. And as a bonus, like you said, you still are able to fit in what this movie is about. It's about Gary's gone missing. We gotta find Gary in like a fucking 40-second TV spot. You're able to fit in so much. It's insane to me. The imagery, great imagery. Again, this goes hand in hand with the voiceover describing what we're seeing, but it's funny, it's seamless. Keanu Reeves' head in a tumbleweed as the wise sage, amazing. Churros, amazing. I don't know, man. I thought it was just brilliant. And then, like you said, at the end, the Patrick's bad breath joke was fine, but I was like, oh, if this is the ending, it kind of fizzles at the ending. But man, did it like be like, we're not done yet. And then Mr. Krabs literally stopping the clock on the spending money of this thing and saying, okay, money well spent, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I was
over
the moon about it.
Even though I didn't like die laughing at Patrick's line, it's like, well, that feels like a Patrick line.
Oh, it was
like this.
It was on
completely
brand.
a character.
It was on brand. It just, again, it's a reordering thing. And I'm like, if that was the end, I wouldn't have made that the
Absolutely.
end. You know? And they didn't because they're smart. And this was a perfectly constructed Super Bowl spot, like you said.
It's wild, yeah.
There you go. All
right.
Well,
We did it. Those are all 10 trailers, but how do those 10 trailers stack up against each other? You've heard James and I agree on things. You've heard us disagree on things.
More than a couple.
Let's take a look at these lists here. Let's see how our Super Bowl rankings go.
Let's do it.
James, hit us with your number 10.
My number 10.
What's your least favorite?
It 100% is going to be yours also. It's got to be. It's Minions 2, right?
Oh, God,
yeah. It's Minions 2, The Rise of Gru.
Yes.
What were you thinking? We don't have to talk
We don't have to dwell on it.
Yeah.
All right, number 9 for me is No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. Okay. This is where you're probably going to hate me, but
Did you say Black Widow?
Black Widow was
dude.
my number 9. It just didn't do much for me. It was constructed well, but other than that, it just didn't interest me.
Okay.
Like, it wouldn't have pulled me away from those nachos and burgers and beers.
My number 8 is The Invisible Man.
Okay, solid. My number 8 is actually Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
I just think it tried really hard. Most of it didn't land for me outside of Dr. Robotnik, which we've talked about.
Okay, my number 7 is Fast and Furious 9.
Worthy. My number 7 is Invisible Man.
Okay.
So yeah,
okay.
we're starting to get there now.
Yeah, it's in that range.
It was just so disappointing. I'm so pumped to see the movie.
In Fast and Furious 9, I think I just needed a little bit more audacity to be like, this is why I should go see the 9th one.
The last Fast and Furious movie was our number 1 of that Super Bowl, right? It had to be. It was just like, oh, of course it's Fast and Furious. And it's dropped for both of us, I promise.
Definitely. All right, so my number 6 is A Quiet Place 2.
My number 6 is No Time to Die.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, we're about to level off, I think.
Okay, so we're starting to get into... I'm liking this. Brighter skies ahead, folks. My number 5 is Top Gun 2 Maverick.
Top Gun 2 Maverick. Okay, my number 5 is Fast and Furious 9.
Okay. Cool.
So I finally got that one out of the way.
Okay, my number 4,
Top
and
4.
I think in a mirrored position from where yours was, is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's one of those things where, again, I just appreciate the creativity just because as you're watching 10 spots, you're getting a lot of, the same structure.
It was so unique, and I will give it that, yeah.
It doesn't entirely land for me, but I'm giving it a lot of points for being like, oh, this is something different, and I kind of like the idea that you guys went really creative.
No, I completely agree with you there. My number 4 is A Quiet Place 2. Yep.
Totally fair. My number 3 is Mulan.
Very nice. My number 3 is Top Gun Maverick.
All right, cool. My number 2, which definitely mirrors your ranking because this was 9 for you, is Black Widow. I think of the set of...
I'm so excited, Kevin, because that means I know what your number 1 is. Let's cruise through this because I'm very excited about one.
I know.
Mulan. Mulan's my number 2.
It's a very good...
It's great.
A very,
it's
very
great.
good
Okay,
spot.
number 1.
Sponge on the Run!
Sponge on the Run! I never would have guessed in a million years that we would have agreed with this.
That not only would we agree
spot.
that
Holy
it's like, oh, we
cow.
like this, but it's like, yeah, this is my favorite of the lot.
It was a perfectly constructed Super Bowl TV spot.
It's just so good, guys.
It's so good. It's so good. And I love Sponge.
I'm abandoning the food table. I don't need a drink right now. Give me 30 seconds.
Maybe
I need
a churro, but other than that...
I need to see where this goes.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm so there.
I would be intensely curious to know what you, the listener, thought of all of these spots. What made you perk up from the food or alcohol at your Super Bowl party? Or if you're like, I don't really care about football... I'm assuming you have YouTube. You probably were watching these. What did you think of all of these?
Yeah.
Do you, where do you land with Black Widow? Do you agree with me and you're like, oh no, I thought that this was really good? Or are you more in James's camp where you're like, why is everyone just jumping in and out of frame? Please let us know. And you can do that by writing into our email, trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you want to let us know through Facebook, you can do that too. You can write on your wall if you want the whole world to know, but I mean, honestly, we'll just read it on the show. So if you want to shoot it to us in a direct message, you can do that too. Just search Trailer Hitch Podcast in Facebook. You'll be able to find us there. But if you're like, I got something to say, but I don't have much to say, we have a Twitter for that. You can keep that shit to 280 characters. You can hit us up at Trailer Hitch Pod. Otherwise, if you're like, I'm really more of a visual person, what do you got for me? Instagram. You can hit us up at Trailer Hitch Podcast on Instagram. Otherwise, if you want to leave a comment on YouTube, say you watched all of these on YouTube and you're like, for a weird reason, I don't want to leave this website. That's okay. Just search Trailer Hitch Podcast on YouTube. Leave us a comment there. We have read those on the show. We are willing to do it again.
It's relatively visual on YouTube as well. So there you go. Instagram and YouTube.
That's a good
cross promotion.
Yeah, that's a good transition.
Synergy. Great.
Synergy. Unfortunately, Synergy is the best lead into LinkedIn. We don't have that. Stop asking us for it. And so while you're on YouTube, hey, go ahead and subscribe to us there. Otherwise, you can find us on Stitcher too. You can follow us on there. Our entire catalog is there for those Android users. For our Mac folk, we are on Apple Podcasts. Go ahead, subscribe to us there. You can rate us there. You can review us there. Do all of the things that help us find more listeners. We get more and more opinions about Black Widow this way. And whether or not SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run's Super Bowl spot swayed you into thinking that was pretty awesome. We'd love to hear from you guys too. Or if you were like, the fuck are you all on? Please write in, let us know. Before we go, we would like to thank Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro song that you hear at the top of every episode. We would also like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on our various social medias and iTunes and Stitcher. You can find her work at Mighty Creations on Instagram. We would like to thank Jenny Hawks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent, for sterling work week in and week out. You might be hearing from her because maybe we fucked something up in the Saw review. Otherwise, we would like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you will hear momentarily. Unless James has something to add. Do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, watch out, Chiefs. Packers are coming for you next year.
We're meandering again.
You can't mount holy sails without a sailor stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Don't go anywhere because the power rankings are not done. We are also ranking the things we ate on Super Bowl Sunday. James and I happen to go to the same party, so we both have a frame of reference. James, hit us with your number 3.
My number 3 would be the dip that I brought.
Oh, okay, interesting. You made your own.
It was like spinach and artichoke dip, but it's like a prepackaged thing that you just like add cream cheese and sour cream to it. It's really good, but I decided to add some beer to it too, and I think that like chef's kiss just really
that put it over the
really
top.
made it
hit
a
that
Super Bowl
3.
dish. You know,
it really hit that number 3 spot. Yeah. My number 3 was the salsa. That went with the chips
salsa
and
was really good.
Very good. Yeah. It was like just the right level of spice where it's like, oh, this got some tingle to it.
Yeah.
But not enough where I'm like, all right, now I need another beer in order to not die here. All right, James, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is actually, and this is weird, but it was just the nacho cheese Doritos. I haven't had nacho cheese Doritos in so long.
It's been a minute.
And no one prepared them. They just bought them from a grocery store. But when I bit into one, I was like, oh, it's been a while. It's been a minute, Dorito.
Sure.
And I missed you, buddy. So, number 2 is Doritos.
My number 2 is James's dip.
Oh, wow.
I really enjoyed your dip, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was very good. Yeah. Kind of like mixing what I was dipping into.
You can dip anything in that.
But regardless of what I was putting in there, that beer really put it over the top. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to know my number 1?
What was your number 1?
My number 1 has to be Clay's Burgers.
Dude, my number 1 is Clay's Burgers.
Friend of the show, Clay, you crushed it on the grill.
Dude, that was so good.
I had maybe 4 burgers.
Ugh.
I could not stop.
I know.
And you would just completely crush it. They were so delicious. So, yeah.
Like all the fixins, too.
Oh, my gosh. It was so good. So good. It made me forget about the TV spots until SpongeBob came on. And then I was like, throw this burger out of here.
My thing right now, man, is now I'm really hungry for a burger. I know nothing is going to top Clay's Burgers, though. I'm just going to text Clay and see if he can make us burgers at 11:30 at night. Let's do it.